Our last topic of talking about mentoring and support network. One thing that I wanted to do is, as we're talking about sort of what we want to teach our daughters and our sons, who taught you? And Susan, I particularly wanted you, after looking at your interview, that it seems like you were helped along by unlikely sources and came from a blue-collar background and really got support where perhaps you didn't know it was. And talk about what kind of role we should be playing to bring women up, lift them up, and also, of course, young women and our daughters.
Absolutely, thank you. Definitely. I mean, I definitely grew up in a family. I was first-generation college educated. My neighborhood that I grew up in, my neighbor was a mail carrier. It was the hairdressers, the firefighters that I had contact with, and that's what I knew about careers. Now, when I was in high school, I was very gifted in math and science. I ended up going to an engineering school. Left because I didn't have the support there, but one of my former high school teachers actually found out that I had left school, and we met for lunch, and actually, talked to me about what careers that she could see me doing, and things that I had never heard about. Like, honestly, I didn't know what a social worker did, the breadth and depth of what a social worker could do. And so it was those teachers, it was the college professors who, one of my college professors is still an amazing mentor to me today, 20 plus years later. So it's absolutely, sometimes it's hard to find those people, and sometimes you have to seek them out, and sometimes they find you. But absolutely having mentors and support that can help you as we learn to navigate these new waters, like Callie has talked about. Absolutely, I think that's hugely important.
But Susan, one of the things that got you there, I think, also is that you were open to it. And I think that, staying open to that when that proverbial door opens for you is really important too, because I talk to people all the time who want to change their situation, and, there are things that come up, but they say, oh, I couldn't do that, and I couldn't do that, and I couldn't do that. 6 years ago when I met Allison O'Kelly, who's the CEO of our company, in a Starbucks, and she told me that she was thinking of launching this company that services people who are interested in work-life balance, I thought to myself, I've just met this lady, she's starting this company, she's got some decent funding, but it's a major, major risk, and I thought to myself, well, what do I have to lose? I'll try it, and if it doesn't work, then I just go back and find something else. But I think that's what you have to see. You have to recognize it when it's there.
This is Callie. I would just suggest that one of the things that could help us all create a more supportive mentoring network for each other, peer to peer, boss to subordinate, whatever levels, is if we could remove some of the judgment around there's a right answer and there's a wrong way to do this. I think at the end of the day, there are a schmillion, and that is really a number, a schmillion, different ways to manage our work and our life. And one of the reasons I love what I do is that I have never, ever, this is the truth, in 15 years heard the same work-life fit reality twice. It's like snowflakes. That is how different we are. And so we really can't judge each other because there's no right way to manage all this and make it all happen. Really what we can do is be supportive, encourage each other, because I do think, Maria, your point, go for it. Give it a shot. The worst thing that can happen is you make another change. But we really do have to help each other see the potential possibilities, go for it, and then don't judge each other when we make certain choices. I laugh. I don't cook. As I keep saying, I do not cook. There are some women who might say that is hideous, but instead I have a good friend who's an amazing cook, and I bring my family over there every now and then, and she cooks for them. It's like Christmas when we go over there, but there's no judgment between the two of us. And I think that's really, really important, is that we just remove all the judgment from this conversation about who's right, who's wrong, and just help us all figure it out the way it works for us.
I think Callie is so on point, because my life, and I hope the life of my friends, have been enriched because we are willing to take risks. I called a political party to ask if they needed help stuffing envelopes, and they asked if I could run as a House representative. So I had never done that before, and I brought along 4 women who had never run a campaign. We were all dear friends. And the simple fact is that we decided, what the heck, we'll put it on the bucket list, and we'll see how it goes. And all of us got to experience something amazing running for a political office. It was on none of our agendas. It was on none of our life plans. But we had a blast, and we have the experience. And I think sometimes, even when you think, oh, this is going to cost money, which an election does, I kind of framed it up that it would cost, in my case, about the same as taking a college class. And I thought, this is certainly a lot more fun. I'm eating a lot more chicken than I ever would at a college class. So again, sometimes when you build this openness to experiences, you get to bring your friends along, and they get to bring you along, and your life is so much richer for it. And your children. My children are extremely into the political process merely because they were on several trucks and several parades. What advice would you give to young women? And sort of what do you think that mothers and fathers, particularly fathers, because there's been studies that show that the father's ability to encourage their daughter to step out makes a huge impact. What kind of advice would you give mothers and fathers, and what kind of advice would you give to the young women listening today? Going back to judgment and fear, for me, those are the two top line categories that we've talked about today for young people. Get rid of the judgment. Instead, work on filling other people's bucket, as they say in my son's school, as opposed to emptying people's bucket, and get rid of the fear. Say to yourself, I'm going to make some mistakes, and it's totally okay, and I'm never going to gain anything if I don't take some risk, and if I don't fall flat on my face. Frankly, in my life, whether it be in my dating life prior to meeting my husband or in my business life, I've made some mistakes, and it was through those mistakes that I was able to tweak what I really wanted. So if you're so careful that you're not taking any risk, you're not really going to learn very much. So I think judgment and fear are the two top line categories.
I also believe that too, Maria. I really do think that judgment and fear, I think fear can really take over a person if they don't know how to shake it off them. And another thing, my life's full of taking risks, and some worked, some didn't, but we keep going on. And like Maria has said, you learn from each mistake you made. You see the good in it, and you take the bad, and you try and change the bad, and you just move forward. Just keep moving forward.
Callie, any last thoughts?
I just would say I would agree with that. I think really it's, as mothers and fathers, it's telling our girls and our sons that to go for it, and they will figure it out, and they have the power to leverage a lot more flexibility in the workplace than many of us had when we were having children, to really craft a fit that works for them. And it's going to look many different ways as they go through life, and that's cool. And it's not just when they have children. We are going to be facing a lot of elder care, which in my opinion is what's going to ultimately change all of this. Quite frankly, I think the number of aging people that have to be taken care of, and then also retirement is going to look totally different. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be parenthood, it's going to be elder care, it's going to be retirement, many different moments in your life where your work and life are going to look very different. And just go for it and figure it out.
Susan, would love to hear from you.
Absolutely, I agree. I think we're at that tipping point with elder care and everyone in that sandwich generation, but it's going to increase so much more over the next 5 to 10 years. And I think we're incredible role models for our kids, and our kids are seeing us create these opportunities that work for all of us. And so I think it's going to increase and become more and more, and the more we show our kids by example that it's okay to take risks, and that there's still life beyond that mistake. I think that's huge.
Now, I want to close on a positive note on that same topic. To Callie's point before, we've done study over study about generations of people and what level of work-life flexibility they want. And the great news is, with this Labor Day study that we just did, we saw that men want more flexibility. And there's tons of studies that show that the entering generation into the workforce, the youth, without having kids, without having any other things pulling at them, they demand flexibility. So business is going to have to find a way to figure out how to make it work, I think, over time. So the good news is our children will really reap the benefits of that. And my hope is that this is one of the last types of conversations that you have to have in that regard, and that it is all figured out because of the necessity.